Guys, I want to tell you the funniest thing that happened to me since living in this house. So, in my bedroom, when you walk into the bedroom, it's the bed, then you have the bathroom, and the mirror in the bathroom is like facing my bed. So, I want to tell you how I scared myself so bad. So, it's like in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. You wake up, you got that midnight pee that you're gonna go. So I'm waking up and the mirror is right here. And I'm groggy. I'm walking into the bathroom and I didn't shut my door on this particular night. So I see my reflection, right? But I'm half asleep, half awake, y'all. I want to show you what happened. So I go and I'm walking and I'm like, ugh, because I scared myself. My reflection scared me. But anyway, I'm going to be warming up dinner tonight and I wanted to answer some questions or just give you some more story time. So I want to tell you guys a story about how I got conditioned to seeing sexual things in the jail and how it just stopped affecting me. So when I first started in corrections, I wasn't used to seeing just a lot of vulgar things. So my first day on the tier, actually I was in training. So my first time in training, like you have to be with someone. It's called field training officer. So I'm with the field training officer, and this guy was casually pleasuring himself, and I'm just like sitting there like, what in the world? Like, is this normal? But I wanted, like, for me, it shocked me, right? Because I'm like, what is going on here? Like these people, like no one is saying nothing, no one is checking on because I found like if you interact with them or you give them any type of response, some of those people they really, they get off on it. And it just struck me odd how the officer really did not react. Now, me first coming in, I'm like, is this happening? And she's like, head count, fellas, head count. And I'm looking at her like, are we we're about to do we're going in there. She's like, yes, girl, as time goes by, like you gonna get used to it, girl. You gonna see so many peens. It's not even gonna be funny, girls. Like just get used to it because it's going to get real. And so as time went by in that facility, it became like I just got really conditioned to it. Like it didn't really affect me after a while, just like it didn't affect me when I would see these men come in relationships and just start having relations with other men. And so there was this guy there, he was transsexual. And in his head, like he had this competition with me. I never met the guy before, but like for some reason, he just made it be known to me that this was his exact words. He was like, Miss Parker, I just want to tell you, like, these guys might be living for you during the day, honey. But let me tell you something. They be living for me at night, okay? And I'm like, listen, it's no competition, sis. Like, you win. Like, off the bat, you got that. No competition. It's all you. So there was this guy. This is my second facility. And like I said, we were able to listen to conversations. So we had these two um transsexuals. They were actually transitioning, trans male. They were trans. What were they? They were switching to female. Okay, I want to be politically correct. So I don't want to be disrespectful. When I tell you they gave all the tea because they would like casually talk, and sometimes like they would just chime in, like they'd hit the button and they would want to, talk to us and they just like let us know, like, honey, I'm getting dudes in here. And like you would just sit back and watch and listen to the conversations that they're having amongst one another and how the other guys would try to act like they weren't interested, but they were interested. So there was a CO who got arrested. Hey, Melissa, it was a CO who got arrested and he was in the facility. And mind you, I know the CO and I used to work with the CO from my other facility. And yeah, so he started like interacting with the person, which is fine. Like you can interact with the person, but like he was like overly interacting with the person, like giving compliments and whatnot. And at this point, he had been in there for like a year. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna judge, like, but like on the phone, he would be telling his girl, oh, I love you, this, that, and the third. So I'm just like, y'all got to pick a side. Like, you got to be honest with these women out here. Like, if you're bisexual, like, let these women know. Okay. So then I was speaking to a medical tech that worked in the jail, and she told me, now she couldn't give names of people, but like she definitely let me know like a vast majority of the guys in there had HIV. And that was alarming, especially like, you just sitting back and you're looking at these men, and you look at their visiting log, and you see their wives come in, and you see their girlfriends come in. And I get it, gay for this day, but like, yo, be honest about your business. And I'm only saying this because I found myself on TikTok, messy TikTok today, and because I didn't have nothing else better to do today, because virtual learning has taken the life out of me. I see like a bunch of videos going on where it's like, you should tell your girlfriend. And a lot of them were down low men exposing other down low men, which I think is distasteful and utterly disrespectful. But hey, I should probably be getting us dinner now. Hold on. But I gotta move y'all because I want to tell y'all the story, but I still want to cut. Hold on. It's about to get real. Sorry, y'all. Sidebar, complete sidebar. Y'all need a ninja foodie in your life. You definitely need a ninja foodie. This is so unprofessional. My bad. Okay. All right. So yeah, he was. A lot of these men were basically saying like they want to be with each other, and you should tell your girlfriend. And yes, I agree. Like, tell your girlfriend, tell your girlfriend, especially if they're sending money into a facility because they want to be with you. So, and I think that's why, like now, well, granted, I'm married now, so I'm definitely not looking for no relationship. But whenever I hear someone tell me, like, girl, I'm dating this man and he's in jail, this, that, and the third, I'm just like, sis, be careful, okay? Be careful because they're sleeping with each other in there. It is true. Not all of them. Some of them live by a specific code, but this new breed, like this younger generation, they have no chill. They don't care. Clearly, they don't care. So that's one thing I want to talk about. The craziest thing, the most craziest thing I've seen in the facility when I was working there, my first facility, was these two Hispanics, these two Hispanic men. They were in there. This is when I kind of knew like the MS-13 gangs were no one to mess with. Like, they was the real deal because our facility was ran by BGF, Black Gorilla Family. Okay, like nobody messed with the black men in our facility. It was predominantly black. However, in every working man. So we had working men that would take care of the facility. Like, they could walk around, they could clean, and of course, that's how they ran the facility. Like, they could like get their drugs and their watches and whatnot. But I noticed that these two Hispanics who got arrested for chopping off the heads of these kids, nobody messed with them. They were allowed to work. Nobody strong armed them. Nobody tried to assault them. As a matter of fact, like, they came and went as they pleased. It was very unsettling because I was like, well, not unsettling. It was like interesting. And so I did some research on the guys because I was that person. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why do they get the, pretty much do what they want? Oh, because they was MS-13. They will chop your head off. Like, seriously. I made some mixed vegetables the other night, so I'm just basically reheating everything. And they're not going to eat that. I'm going to have to make some macaroni and cheese. I made this pot roast too. So anyway, back to what I was saying. They can only mess with these two Hispanic guys. And that's when I started noticing there is like there was like a big power struggle. So we had this one inmate, like I was telling you guys before, he impregnated a couple of COs. He bought them all Mercedes Benzes, and the truth of the matter is, it was only one Mercedes Benz, and they passed it around, and it got into a fight. And so I was a rookie coming in. So seeing all this stuff, I was like, wow, this is real. Like, this is real life. So me, I had like this, I'm going to change the facility complex. Like, here's what not to do in corrections. Do not think that you're going to change the dynamic of that facility. Don't think that. As a matter of fact, you hold yourself to a standard. You don't hold anyone else to a standard. You hold yourself to a standard. So I'll never forget this time, because watches was a big thing in my facility, specifically Rolexes and G-Shocks. So if you had a Rolex or a G-Shock, it symbolized that you had money and you had position in the facility. So as me being a rookie, listening to the academy, they was like, if you see anything, you say something. No, you see something, you evaluate the situation, you contemplate if you're going to say something, because this is your life. So me listening to the academy that almost got me killed, I write a report. And in this report, I state that I witnessed an officer give a watch to an inmate, which is a big no-no, because watches in my facility was considered contraband, amongst other things. So I write the report. I give it to my sergeant. My sergeant does the whole chain of command and whatever. Do you know by the time I got off from work, all 4 of my tires were slit? Yeah. All 4. You talk about being scared. I was so scared. So I had to call my husband, tell my husband, babe, my tires have been slit. I need you to come and get me. Of course, we had to go to Firestone, go get some tires, because we're Firestone people. We're about that Bridgestone wheel life. But it got me thinking, like, is this really worth my life? So that really was an eye-opening situation for me. And it really humbled me. And it made me feel very uneasy. And again, like I said, I had to evaluate my surroundings and really think about, is this something I really want to do? The final straw in that facility was the lack of professionalism with my superiors. You know, the lack of because I got assaulted while I was there. That was okay. So that was like the second straw that broke the camel's back for me, because I got assaulted. And I noticed that when I called the code, not everyone came. And that was unsettling to me. I was like, now granted, so how I got assaulted was, there was this guy on the tier. So we had bars. Like, it wasn't like doors or anything. We had like bars, and we had to walk the catwalk. So basically you had to walk down the little catwalk. So it's the wall right here, it's the cell right here, and this is your catwalk. And so this guy was being so obnoxious. He was being completely disrespectful. And the best way to be disrespectful to a female officer is to pleasure yourself in front of her. Now, I told you I could talk out the left side of my mouth. And so I was talking out the left side of my mouth, like, oh, it's so cute. Oh, look at it. It's so tiny and cute. Oh, like pretty much embarrassing him, because he would embarrass me, which is another thing that you don't want to do. But that was my rookie days. So walking down the tier, and this is after I did it, and I'm just, because I like to show my presence on the tier, so that the ones that were being abused, they would have a sense of like a sense of peace. And I wasn't really the fearful type because I looked at it this way. If you assault me and you murder me, my family's going to get paid. So, I mean, I'm not like, that wasn't an issue. And that's something I voiced to them often. Like, I don't care what you do to me. You're not going to scare me from not walking down this tier. Like, I'm going to walk down this tier no matter what. Because that's something that they would do to us rookies. And I'm talking like I'm 7 months in my little career. And so I'm walking down the tier after him like, so he grabs, he's like, ooh, he pulls me. And I'm like, what the hell? So he starts like slamming me into the bars. So I take my keys because I couldn't access my pepper spray. I take my keys, I jab him in the arm with it till he lets go, call the code, which was 1013, take my pepper spray, spray him. Mind you, he's butt naked. So thank God I always secured my grills when I went down, just when I was walking down the catwalk. Like, I was the type of person where safety was a big thing for me, even though in this facility, sometimes the bars would work, like the grills would work, sometimes they wouldn't. Like, I remember one day I'm sitting out doing paperwork. I locked everyone in for the day, and because it was shift change, and like two guys just casually come walking out like, hey, Miss Parker, can I get a sick call? And I'm like, dude, didn't I lock you in? Yeah, but we jammed ourselves. So we pretty much, like, we run this section. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not giving you the sick call, like, go lock in. Anyways, so yes, so that guy had assaulted me. What I didn't know, because no one told me, was that I could sue. I should have sued, but I didn't, because I didn't know any better. And that's why I'm like a big advocate for workman's comp. That wasn't the first time I got assaulted in this career. It was not going, I mean, that was the first time. It was definitely not the last time. So, for me, I left that facility. Like I said, it was just unsafe. And I just realized it was ran with drugs, and a lot of the staff was on payroll. I wasn't on payroll, so I really had to weigh my options. So then I go to my new facility. It was like walking into the Wizard of Oz. Like, when you walk into the castle and you see like everyone, like the hay is being thrown everywhere, and you got the big marble floors, and it just looks so pretty. Like, that was my new facility. Everything worked. The radio worked, because sometimes at my old facility, your radio wouldn't work. Sometimes your phone wouldn't work. Sometimes your pepper spray wouldn't work. So I really had to basically weigh my options. So that's why I chose to leave that facility, came to this new facility. Everything was great. Getting a new facility, y'all, feeling kind of cocky, because I'm like, just came from the jungle, the concrete jungle. I survived. And I'm like feeling good. And I picked it up because at this time it was maybe about a 6 months lapse from the time that I had left the other facility to this new facility. And I was really contemplating if I wanted to do corrections again. Y'all, it wasn't the inmates. It was not the inmates for me. It was the supervision. When I tell you they micromanage every single thing that you do, you cannot write up an inmate. If an inmate cursed you out, you couldn't cuss out an inmate. Like, you couldn't snap back at them. Some supervisors didn't want to do their job. And what's crazy is that people from my old facility that actually worked in the penitentiaries, they would say, we always know when someone comes from your facility because they're always asking for a supervisor. I'm like, tell me about it, because they're crybabies. They don't want to deal with the repercussions of anything that they do. But I had gotten sick with when I got pregnant with my daughter, and it was just like a really hard pregnancy for me. And then on top of that, I had left a bad taste in my supervisor's mouth, because I looked at it this way, and this is something that a supervisor there told me: if you don't document everything that happens, it never happened. And I learned that the hard way when I had cussed out a supervisor and they wrote me up, but I didn't write them up. I wasn't aware that because I just figured like, oh, okay, so we gonna go toe to toe with our mouths, fine, cool. No, she went toe to toe with me, her with her mouth and her pen. So I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. Okay, okay. So the Capricorn in me was like, all right, bet. Let me get my dictionary. Let me get my thesaurus. Let me get my pen. Let me get my paper. And let me get my typing fingers. And that's when Pen Pushing Parker came about. And when I tell you every single thing these supervisors did to me or would say to me, like if they cursed at me, I wouldn't curse back. Because I was just like, okay, fine. This is what we doing? Bet. According to policy and procedure, supervisor so and so violated this policy when they said or when they stated, bitch, you need to this, that, and the third, because yes, this happened. And they pretty much got tired of me writing them up, so they stopped talking to me. But they always responded to a code. So if I called a code, they responded because they didn't want to get, written up, because there you can actually lose your job if you don't respond to a code. Like there's no questions asked. If you don't respond, you got to answer these questions. So yes. Um, do I ever recommend anyone going into corrections? I do. It is a fulfilling career if you do it the right way. I highly recommend everyone you go. It's required. You have to do the academy, but take everything that you learn in the academy with a grain of salt, because they're going to teach you to have authority over the offender. And I disagree with that, because I feel like if you talk to someone, rather issue an order to a person, they're more likely to comply than to than you sitting here barking orders at them. I know it was actually an inmate that taught me how to be an officer, because I almost got my ass beat because of some foolish stuff I did just from listening to the academy talking about issuing orders and just being like, you are the officer, you demand your respect. No. So my old facility, first facility, we were in a dorm setting. You could only let one dorm out at a time. And I had let out the most rambunctious dorm at that time, which looking back was a dumb decision. However, I looked at it like, well, if I let them walk first today, tomorrow I won't have to let them walk because someone else will have to let them walk and come out. So if I deal with them today, I won't have to deal with them tomorrow, when in actuality, I should have just left it for a different shift. So I let this rambunctious dorm out. It was about, I want to say maybe 40 inmates. They get on the phone. This one guy gets on the phone, and I said, sir, it's time to lock in. I'm issuing you like your 15-minute, it's time. Like we were coming to an end of our day at this point. And so he didn't acknowledge me. So I'm talking like we're at 2:59. They're supposed to be locked in at 2:30. So it was a lack of judgment on my end, but also at the same time, it was a rambunctious crowd. They were going to do what they wanted to do regardless of what I said. So tell the guy, I'm like, yo, all right, it's time to lock in. I need you to wrap up your phone call. Well, he was not having it. Like, he just wasn't listening. So I kindly walked over, and when I say kindly, I didn't kindly. I walked up because I'm pissed, I'm red, I'm yelling. Like, I'm light-skinned, so I'm angry, I'm red, I'm sweating in places because we didn't have AC. I'm sweating in places that I didn't think I could sweat in, but I was rapidly sweating there. And I'm like, sir, time to get off the phone. 3, 2, 1, click. Y'all, he was pissed. He was like, ooh, 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 Miss Parker. Ooh, don't you ever, ever hang up a phone on someone. And so I said to him, I said, well, I asked you like 20 times to get off the phone. You didn't get off the phone. He was like, yo, if it would have been any of these other little dudes up in here, your ass would have been on the ground picking up your teeth. And I said, and you're probably right. I mean, I'll definitely give you that. Like, I'm not gonna, you guys are men. I'm just a woman. Like, I'm not gonna even try to sit here and argue with you. Yeah, you have to go back in there because I'm streaming. And I don't want you guys. Go ahead. Please go. I know. She ain't sleeping. Okay. So basically, I'm like, I'm not about to sit here and argue with you and act like I'm the strongest person in here and I can go toe to toe with y'all. Like that's that. I'm not gonna do that. But at the same time, dude, I asked you to get off the phone and you were being defiant. Long story short, he was like, yeah, you right, Miss Parker, you right. Yo, you crazy as hell, but you right. I'm like, all right. So we have established I'm crazy. Okay, that's a given. Now, I got drainage continues. Um, so he says this now. Now we flash forward into the next day. I pull him to the side and I said, listen, we both got off on the wrong foot yesterday, you know, because it was like my 4th day on the tier. I said, we both got off on the wrong foot. I apologize for hanging up the phone on you. And he's like, all right. And I apologize for not getting off the phone. And he was like, can I just give you some pointers? Because I can tell that this is something that you want to do. Like, this is going to be your career. But at the same time, like, don't take it so serious that you get yourself caught up. He said, you're a very attractive woman and you are going to have dudes that's going to try you, but never ever put yourself in a position where so you're going to get assaulted. Like, it doesn't make you any less of an officer if someone doesn't listen to every command that you're issuing. And I really took that home. I really was registering. I'm like, wow, yeah, he's so right. Like, what am I proving here? Because this, at the end of the day, is it worth me picking up my teeth just to show that I'm trying to do this job? Or, you know, I'll put it like this. I really feel like the academy gives a false sense of security to newer officers. Like, they don't really prepare you when you're coming into the field. They say, you are this, you are that, do this, do that, write them up, you are the law, no ifs, ands, or buts, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you're dealing with human beings. You're dealing with people that have experienced traumas, and we were very underpaid, very undertrained. And I really give credit to one officer. I'm not going to mention her name, but she was the best training officer I ever had, because she said, you know why they respect me? And I was like, no, why? Please, at this point, let me know, because I'm like down to like 125. My hair is falling out. I'm like really stressing because I want to prove to my superiors, first facility now, I want to prove to my superiors that I'm a good officer, that I can do this job. Like, sis, help me out. She was an older lady. She said, I make them treat themselves with respect, and I also treat them with respect. Therefore, they treat me with respect. I said, well, how the hell do you make them treat you, make them treat themselves with respect? She goes, I ask them every morning how they're feeling, what it is that they're going through. Is there anything I can help them with? And if it's disrespectful, I let them know that they're disrespecting themselves by even trying to what did she say? She said, would proposition. When you proposition a woman such as myself, something like that, do you really feel like you are putting your best foot forward? Because you're asking me to compromise my integrity. So what does that say about you? And I was like, oh, that's some reverse psychology stuff. And come to find out, she was majoring in psychology. And I was like, you know what, Miss P, like, that's some good advice there. And so when I took that advice along with the advice that the inmate told me, well, the offender told me, it really changed my career from that day forward. Because from that day forward, I had less interactions with the offenders than what I did before. Because again, when I came in, the examples I had is, if you aren't popping off at the mouth to them, then they're winning. So you have to, but what I didn't realize then, and what maybe these other ladies didn't realize, is that the less that you react to them, the more respect they have for you. So if they're doing cat calls and you respond in a way like, don't effing call me that. Like, who you think you talking to? Like, sir, fall back. Like, they get off on that. So what you do, like a way to like kind of counteract that is like, sir, please don't disrespect me like that. Please don't. Now, because you're talking in a calm tone and you're not popping off, you're not cursing at them, they kind of feel dumb. They're like, wow, she ain't cussed me out. Because it's a mental game for them. So it should be a mental game for you as well to just not react. When they call you a bitch, sir, why are you calling me out of my name? Now you do have a select few. It don't matter what you say. They're going to act the way that they act. It's a chemical imbalance on their brain. It's nothing that you can do about it. They're not. It's nothing. It's something that happened to them when they were younger to make them not want to respect themselves or respect other people. They don't have no boundary. But that's not a reflection of you and how you are policing your tier. Also, when you never ever, and I mean this wholeheartedly, like never ever embarrass the offender. So if you see so and so boot up together and then later on he tries to be disrespectful and you call him a name, like that's why you a butt lover. Like never do that. Like never ever do that. Because now you don't put yourself in a position where you will be assaulted. They are going to assault you. They are going to throw feces on you. Never happened to me. I've seen where feces were thrown on other people. It's not a pretty sight. They would old facility, when we did a shakedown, say, Mom, you cannot be in here. She's mad at me, y'all. It's not stories for kids. So they would take roaches and mice feces, and they would, like, one guy, he mutilated a mouse and put it in milk cartons and stuff. Old facility now. And they got this officer good. Like, as soon as she came on here, because they didn't like her, they went ahead and they threw that stuff on her. Now, the saddest story I've ever, I wasn't too proud of this. This wasn't anything I did, but because we did a shakedown there, and this is why I'm not a fan of ever working in law enforcement again, because I feel like when you put on that badge, you really get a complex at this point. Like you really feel like you are, I don't know, like above the law or something. I don't know what it is about that badge, but some people, it like really goes to their head. So this guy, we did a shakedown in this section. This guy's grandmother had just passed. And one of my peers, one of my fellow officers, decided that because that section was known for being like rambunctious and disrespectful, and this particular offender was very abrasive and just like he was terrible, y'all. Like he was really terrible. He took the boy's obituary of his grandmother and ripped it up and put it on his bed. Let me tell you something. First of all, we're not allowed to do stuff like that, okay? Like you're not allowed. Like that should never ever happen. But he did it. He was a newer officer, and I guess he thought it was funny or something like that. But none of us found it funny. We were because we knew what was going to happen. So the following day, we were all pulled aside because it was part of our training when we had to shake down this particular section. So the next day we were going to be in the field basically, and our lieutenant was like, I'm afraid to send y'all down to this particular section because they said if we send any one of the rookies down there, y'all getting assaulted off the break. What we didn't know is that any section we went to, we were going to get assaulted. Okay, the males, from what I remember, was the males. So one of my peers, not the one that ripped up the obituary, but another guy who was always professional, like he was really down to earth and just cool. It was the scariest thing because we all would get together at lunchtime, compare notes, like, hey, do you think we should be in this career? Like, is this a fit in for us? And when I say we were at the worst facility in the state, we was at the worst facility in the state. And this is pre-trial, okay? This is just where you're being held before you go to trial. And we got the code 1013, which is officer involved, officer being assaulted, officer needs assistance. And we all ran to the code. And I just remember seeing two of my favorite officers. One was this one guy, he was field training officer, very professional, he was about his business. He did not play around with the inmates, however, he was respectful. And then it was the rookie, who was one of my good friends, and he was unconscious. They threw this boy down a flight of steps, y'all. Threw him down the flight of steps. Like, I just remember, because we couldn't really, I couldn't really show emotion like that, because I didn't want the other inmates to feel like, oh, well, we can get to her easy. I had to like hold it in. Yo, I was shaking. I was so shaken, because seeing him unconscious, seeing him being taken out by the ambulance, and then seeing the other officer, you know, holding his head and everything. And these are like relatively small guys, okay? It was two of them. And just knowing like the super strength that they had, whatever drugs they were on, like they didn't care, like picked him up and threw him down the steps. He survived. He sued. He's still working in corrections. He's still doing good. But that was scary for me. And that was another reason why I just left that facility altogether, because it was too dangerous. It was too dangerous, especially when you're constantly, you got to keep your head on a swivel. Like, what's going to happen? What's happening? Am I going to be assaulted today? It was too much. It was just too much at that particular time. It's definitely too scary to even consider staying. But that facility made me time enough for the newer facility, and that's why I kind of had like a cocky attitude when I came into my new facility, because I was like, I done been through the worst. Caught contact, y'all. My old facility, them mofos stay high in there. I remember I packed a good lunch. I said, oh, I can't wait to eat. Cannot wait. The thing about it is that you could always smell it, but you could not ever catch it. Like, you would see the smoke, but by the time you got down there, it was gone. Y'all, this particular day, I was so high, just from contact. I don't know what the hell they was smoking, but I was so high. I ate my lunch, the lunch that they provided for us, and my partner's lunch. Yeah. I had to write a report that I caught contact. It was like, poor Tank. Poor Tank. My eyes was bloodshot. They stay high in that facility. It was crazy. I don't know. She's such a picky eater. Kayla, she is my birth control, y'all. I don't want no more kids. I really like this. She is the birth control. She is her own individual. Okay. When the inmates were asking, Miss Parker, how can you say no so easy? I'm like, yo, I got kids. Okay, I got kids. Then my kids be like, Mom, why are you so mean? I was a CO. Okay, no. You so mean. Go ahead and call me out my name. Just saying them call me mean. They would never disrespect me like that, but still. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to come on here and talk about, is share a few of my little stories. I got more. I'm gonna sit down and do a video. I'm gonna really sit down and do a video about this stuff, because the stuff I would see in the facility, it would just baffle me. I'd just be sitting there like, is this really happening? Did he just really? Did she just really? And like the stuff that would come out of our mouths, like looking back on it, were there things that I wish I could redo? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because like I said, when you put on that badge, you definitely change as a person. Okay. When you leave out that facility, you don't stop. Like, you don't stop being a CO. Like, even till this day, when I walk somewhere, like say I'm in a store or something like that, my head is constantly on a swivel. People are recognizing me. That's another reason why I say always be professional when you're dealing with your offenders. Second, like I said, my second facility, I definitely switched up my tune. I definitely became more professional, conducted myself in a professional manner, because offenders will recognize you. And this one woman who was accused of murdering her husband, she recognized me. She was just out shopping one day. Mind you, I'm with my kids, and I have a big policy about approaching me with my children. But because I didn't recognize her, I didn't know who she was, she approached me, she's like, "Oh, I know you." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" She's like, "Yeah, you're Miss Parker. You used to work at the facility." I just wanted to say that you were so professional. You were so nice. Like, you always came in. You were very pleasant. And, like, despite what other people would say, because I was one of the ones that didn't give out an extra tray. I didn't give out anything extra, not an extra sheet, not an extra blanket, not a sheet of paper, not anything that you weren't supposed to have. I didn't. That's something I didn't play, because I had to look out for my other offenders that were being taken advantage of. I wanted them to feel safe and feel like, I'm not going to break any of the rules. So that was one of the standards I held on a high totem pole, and that just comes from my childhood. So yeah, but she approached me and she was just like, I really appreciate the fact that you were always, professional. So, um, definitely always be professional. Like, if you don't take anything else from this story, one, there's a lot of DL brothers. Like, there's a lot of dudes out here that are sleeping with one another. I've seen it all the time in the facility. There's a lot of people on drugs in the facility. Not all COs are dirty COs. Not every CO comes in there bringing in drugs. It's not just the COs. It's also medical staff. It's also the clergy. It's it's the psychiatrist. It's like so many people, lawyers. It's so many other people that do come in and do this stuff. It's not just the COs. And also, just being like, if I can, like, just be professional. That's it. So I'm gonna wrap up this stream. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna go feed my kids my little leftovers I had from the other day. I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. Please give it a thumbs up. Please ask me some questions, y'all. Ask some questions. I got plenty of stories to tell. If you have anything related to workplace violence, workplace hostility, FMLA, ADA violations, any of that, make sure that you are contacting me on my OnlyFans so I can help you look over these reports, so I can help you write these reports, so I can give you some advice. Again, all advice I give you is my own advice. I'm not a lawyer. I don't work in the law field at all, but I can tell you what worked for me and how I was able to successfully hold my facility accountable for the rules and the laws that they broke. So thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on my next stream, and y'all have a good evening.